This week marks the beginning of the Soul Foundation's 5th year. I'm incredibly proud of the work we've accomplished since our launch and just as excited about the projects we have on the horizon. I'll admit that these few years have been rewarding, but they've also been a massive learning curve. Last February, as the band kicked off the U.S. leg of the Circle Tour, I kicked off a personal fact-finding tour of my own. I set out with our tour director, Tiffany Ship, the Soul Foundation Executive Director, Mimi Box, and on some special occasions, my friend and mentor, Sister Mary Scullion of Project Home. We were visiting homeless facilities across the country to continue my personal education and enhance my understanding of homelessness in America. Homelessness. The word alone is daunting. It seems like a massive problem you can barely wrap your brain around, let alone a problem we can actually solve. Yet, in each city and each facility, each organization's unique perspective offered us new insight. Each visit answered just as many of our questions as it posed. As we face these trying economic times, more American families and individuals who could have never imagined they'd be homeless are in just that place. But it's crucial to remember that barring tragedy, there is no one event that causes or leads to homelessness. No one chooses to be homeless. The faces of homelessness in America are as varied as the nation itself. I'd like to share some of what we encountered on our discovery tour. Our first stop was in Seattle, Washington, where we visited DESC's 1811 Eastlake residents. They employ a housing first model which provides hardcore alcoholics and drug addicts a safe and stable living environment off the streets while providing rehabilitation. Now, initially, the local neighborhood fought 1811 Eastlake's construction. They used the "not in my backyard" excuse. But in the long run, it ended up saving the taxpayer money. Because when you think about it, it cut down on the number of emergency room visits, vagrancy complaints, police reports, public disruptions, court proceedings, and jail sentences. It's had a positive domino effect, not just in the lives of the tenants, but in the community at large. In Nashville, Tennessee, we visited Oasis Center, which is dedicated to helping youth in crisis, offering long-term and short-term residency, educational assistance, counseling, and an array of services customized for at-risk teenagers. They do some incredible work. In meeting the adolescent face of homelessness, our time at Oasis introduced us to a handful of teenagers who have simply fallen through the cracks. One example, the young adult who ages out of the foster care system when they reach the age of 18. They lack birth certificates, social security numbers, legal identification, even permanent home addresses, which are all necessary to apply for job training, schooling, and employment. To me, they seemed invisible, destined for a life on the streets, but thanks to the transitional housing services and life skills provided by Oasis Center, these youth are prepared to enter the world and become productive citizens. In downtown Los Angeles, we toured the LAMP community. LAMP focuses on eliminating chronic homelessness among the severely mentally ill. If, like me, you've read the book The Soloist, or if you've seen the movie, you'll recognize LAMP as the setting. Los Angeles Times journalist Steve Lopez, who wrote the story, was our personal tour guide through that facility. And even with an 85% success rate, LAMP, like many other nonprofits, are in perpetual need of more funding. When I asked Steve why the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of California, who are both very sympathetic to this plight, weren't putting more effort into helping solve the homeless problem, Steve simply explained that it was at least partially a financial issue. Californians, like so many Americans in other states, are hurting in this failing economy, and there is often very little extra to spend on those most in need of help. Our tour stop in Dallas, Texas, left me with a knot in my stomach. While visiting the Casa Youth Emergency Center run by the Salvation Army, we met a preteen brother and a sister left on the shelter's doorstep in the middle of the night with nothing but the clothes on their back. This facility exists to deal with just this type of unthinkable situation. But on a brighter note, also in Dallas was what is happening at City Walk at Acard. This development of restored historic buildings in downtown Dallas was designed to include retail space, affordable housing, including 50 units set aside to house some homeless individuals and their families, as well as premium condos for sale. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, we visited a place called People Serving People, which focuses on providing temporary assistance to homeless families with ties to the Twin City community. In addition to housing, People Serving People provide professional services 21 nonprofit entities are on site to offer residents access to medical and dental care, literacy and job training, a computer lab, a preschool, and child care centers. With crosstown travel no longer a logistical nightmare, the on-site service providers help a young mother expedite the process of exiting homelessness and getting her family's life back on track. They were a great example of how people helping people serves the community. Each of these nonprofits, led by true unsung heroes, tackles the issue of homelessness from different angles, but we found one common theme during all our visits. While each facility is run by a small team of full-time dedicated administrators, they all credit the tireless efforts of their volunteers as what enables them to carry out their mission. Volunteers are the lifeblood. These are a handful of snapshots from my educational tour. There is no one face of homelessness and no one right way to solve the problem. Homelessness is a mosaic composed of all the root reasons and causes, the array of facilities and programs, approaches and services, the funding from private and public sectors, the network of professionals and volunteers, and most importantly, the personal stories of the real people that give the mosaic its heart and its soul. Each person has a name, and each of those people is somebody's brother or sister, somebody's mother or father, somebody's child. I don't want to lecture anyone. I'm not an expert. I'm learning about this every day. But I'd like to share my experience, and I'd like to hope to encourage, maybe even inspire, just one more person. When I think about my spark of inspiration, one homeless man sleeping on the steps of Philadelphia City Hall on a snowy night, and how that led to the creation of the Soul Foundation, I realize how little I knew about homelessness 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, 6 months ago. But the more I witness, and the more I learn, and the more that we do, and the more eager we are to do it, the more hopeful we are that we can eradicate homelessness. We don't need a scientist to create a pill or to find a cure, but achieving that goal is possible only through a combined community effort. Everything the Soul Foundation has accomplished started with a simple idea. We are all our brothers and sisters' keeper, and they need help. To the dedicated staffs and volunteers at 1811 East Lake in Seattle, the Lamp community of Los Angeles, People Serving People in Minneapolis, City Walk and ACARD in Dallas, the Casa Youth Emergency Shelter and Salvation Army in Dallas, and the Oasis Center in Nashville, thank you for your hospitality, your time, your insights, and your incredible work. To all of you who have donated your time, your money, or even just listened to this, the Soul Foundation thanks you. We, together, can help solve the problem of homelessness. As Sister Mary has often said, none of us are home until all of us are home.